What if I told you that you may be 30 years old, but your body is biologically 45? Or that there is a 60-year-old person walking around with a 40-year-old body? Inside every cell in your body is an invisible molecular clock that is ticking right now, marking not how many years you have lived, but how old you have actually become. And here's the shocking thing. That clock could be ticking much faster or much slower than you realize. Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover could literally add years to your life or explain why you're aging before your time. Let's start with something that will turn your head. You know your age, right? How old are you? 25, 40, 55? Well, that's just your chronological age, the number of times you've circled the sun. But there is another much more important age that most people don't even know exists. It's your biological age, and it tells a completely different story about who you really are inside. And science has discovered a way to read that age with frightening accuracy by looking directly at your DNA. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, my DNA doesn't change, right? It's the genetic code I inherited from my parents, and it will remain the same until I die. And you are absolutely right about that. The sequence of your DNA, the letters A, T, C, and G that make up your genes, do not change. But here's the fascinating trick that science has discovered in recent decades. Although the sequence remains the same, small chemical marks are constantly added to and removed from your DNA. It's like your DNA is a book whose story never changes, but someone is constantly adding and removing colored bookmarks, sticky notes, and highlights to the pages. These markers don't change the words, but they completely change how the story is read. This phenomenon has a scientific name: epigenetics. The word comes from the Greek epi, meaning above or over, so epigenetics literally means above genetics. These are changes that happen to your DNA without altering the DNA itself. Think of it as software running on hardware. The hardware is your DNA, fixed and unchanging. The software is epigenetics, flexible and constantly being updated based on what you eat, how you sleep, how much stress you feel, whether you exercise, even the thoughts you think. The most studied and most important epigenetic mark for understanding aging is DNA methylation. Methylation is when a small chemical group, called a methyl group, which is just a carbon atom bonded to 3 hydrogen atoms, attaches itself to certain letters in your genetic code, specifically the letters C when they appear next to letters G. When this happens, it's like putting a silencer on a gene. That gene goes quiet, stops producing its protein, essentially shuts down. And when the methyl group is removed, the gene wakes up again. Now here's where it gets absolutely fascinating. Scientists began to notice something incredible about 15 years ago. They realized that as people age, methylation patterns in DNA change in predictable ways. Certain places in the genome gain methyl groups, others lose them. And these patterns are so consistent between different people that you can literally look at the methylation pattern in a DNA sample and predict with frightening accuracy how old that person is. It is as if DNA had an internal clock, marking the passage of biological time through these small chemical modifications. The scientist who really revolutionized this field is a researcher named Steve Horvath. In 2013, Horvath published an article that shook the scientific community. He analyzed methylation patterns in hundreds of tissue samples from thousands of people of different ages, and he developed a mathematical formula, an algorithm, that looks at 353 specific positions in the human genome, checks whether those places are methylated or not, and from that calculates biological age with a margin of error of just 3.5 years. 3.5 years. That's incredibly accurate when you're talking about an entire human life. This algorithm became known as Horvath's clock, and it works on practically any tissue in the body. Blood, saliva, skin, brain, liver. You take cells from any part of the body, sequence the DNA, look at these 353 epigenetic markers, and boom! You know the biological age of that tissue. It's as if Horvath has discovered the secret code the body uses to keep time. But wait, because here is where things get even more interesting and personal for you. Remember I said that the clock predicts age with a margin of error of 3.5 years? Well, That margin of error isn't just random variation, it is deeply meaningful. Some people have an epigenetic age that is much older than their chronological age. The clock is ticking fast. Other people have an epigenetic age younger than their actual age. The clock is ticking slowly, and these differences are not just scientific curiosities. They predict future health and longevity. Studies have shown that people whose epigenetic age is older than their chronological age are at increased risk of pretty much everything you don't want. More cancer, more heart disease, more cognitive decline, more frailty, and yes, more likely to die earlier. On the other hand, people whose epigenetic age is younger than their real age, these are people who reach their 80s and 90s still with energy, mental clarity, without the chronic illnesses that afflict their peers. The epigenetic clock isn't just measuring aging, it's predicting biological fate. Now you might be wondering, what makes the clock run faster or slower? Why do some people age biologically faster than others? And here comes the part that should leave you absolutely fascinated and perhaps a little worried. Almost everything in your life affects this clock. Your lifestyle is literally written into your DNA through these epigenetic marks. Let's start with the obvious. Smoking dramatically speeds up the epigenetic clock. Smokers have significantly older biological ages than non-smokers of the same chronological age. And it's not just lung cancer you're risking, you're literally accelerating the aging of every cell in your body. Obesity also speeds up the clock. People with a high body mass index show accelerated epigenetic aging. Excessive body fat isn't just extra weight, it's sending inflammatory signals that reprogram your epigenome in harmful ways. Chronic stress is another big accelerant. Studies of people who have suffered severe trauma, child abuse, post-traumatic stress show measurable accelerated epigenetic aging. Stress isn't just in your head, it's literally written in your DNA. Lack of sleep, too. People who chronically sleep poorly have older epigenetic ages. Sleep is not a luxury, it is fundamental cellular maintenance. A poor diet, rich in ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, trans fats, all of this speeds up the clock. But here's the good news that should give you hope. The clock can also be slowed down and even in some cases reversed. Regular physical exercise is one of the most powerful decelerators of epigenetic aging. People who exercise consistently have biological ages years younger than their chronological ages. And it doesn't have to be a marathon or intense CrossFit. Consistent, moderate exercise makes a huge difference. A healthy diet, rich in vegetables, fruits, good fats, quality proteins. This slows down the clock. Meditation and stress reduction practices positively affect epigenetics. Strong, meaningful social connections are associated with slower epigenetic aging. And there's more. Researchers have found that certain interventions can potentially turn back the clock. A small but fascinating study from 2020 showed that a combination of specific diet, supplements, exercise, and adequate sleep reversed participants' epigenetic age by an average of almost 2 years in just 8 weeks. 2 years younger, biologically, in 8 weeks. Now, this was a small study and needs to be replicated, but it suggests something revolutionary. Epigenetic aging is not a one-way street. It's not inevitable, it's malleable. Now, I'm going to pause here because if you're finding this as fascinating as I do, if you're starting to see your own aging in a completely new light, I need to ask you a quick favor. Go down there and click the like button. Seriously, this helps the channel a lot. YouTube's algorithm uses likes to decide whether to show this video to more people. And information like this, information that can literally change people's health trajectories, needs to reach as many people as possible. Every like from you increases the chances that someone who really needs this information will discover this video. So if you're enjoying it, show it with a like. It takes 2 seconds, but it makes a huge difference. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Continuing. Let's dive deeper into how exactly DNA methylation affects aging. Why does adding or removing these small methyl groups matter so much? The answer lies in how genes are regulated. Your body has about 20,000 genes, but not all of them are turned on in every cell all the time. A liver cell needs different genes turned on compared to a brain cell, and as you age, Which genes are turned on or off need to change to keep the cell functioning properly. When you're young, methylation patterns are very organized and precise. The right genes are on, the right genes are off. It's like an orchestra where each musician knows exactly when to play and when to be quiet, creating perfect harmony. But as you get older, this pattern starts to break down. Some genes that should be turned off start to turn on. Others that should be on start to turn off. Methylation goes to the wrong places or is lost from important places. The orchestra begins to lose rhythm, musicians play out of turn, and the result is cellular cacophony. This epigenetic disorganization has real consequences. Genes involved in inflammation can become permanently switched on, causing chronic low-grade inflammation that accelerates aging and disease. Genes that suppress tumors can be silenced by aberrant methylation, increasing cancer risk. Genes involved in DNA repair can be turned off, allowing damage to accumulate. Metabolic genes become dysregulated, leading to insulin resistance and diabetes. The list goes on. But here's something a lot of people don't understand. Aging is not just the accumulation of random damage. There is a program, a set of epigenetic changes that occur in a coordinated way. It's almost as if there is a master clock that is deliberately changing the epigenetic configuration as you age. Some scientists believe this may be an ancient evolutionary program, a way of ensuring that older organisms get out of the way to make way for the next generation. It sounds harsh, but it makes evolutionary sense. The question then becomes, can we hack this program? Can we interfere with this master clock and turn it off, or at least significantly slow it down? And the answer, based on cutting-edge research happening now, appears to be a cautious yes. There are scientists working on drugs that can modify methylation patterns in beneficial ways. There are researchers exploring gene therapies that can reprogram cells to younger epigenetic patterns. There are even studies with young blood plasma being transfused into older people, and preliminary results show changes in epigenetic markers. One of the most exciting advances came in 2020, when scientists used gene therapy to reprogram cells in the eye of elderly mice back to a more youthful state. They used reprogramming factors called Yamanaka factors, which are proteins that can return cells to a more primitive, youthful state. And the result was that the elderly mice regained vision that they had lost due to aging. Your eye cells have been biologically rejuvenated. This is still far from being an available human therapy, but it shows that epigenetic reprogramming to reverse aging is not science fiction. It's real science happening now. Now let's talk about something very practical. Can you measure your own epigenetic age? The answer is yes, but with some caveats. There are companies now offering epigenetic age testing directly to the consumer. You buy a kit, collect a saliva or blood sample at home, send it back, and receive a report telling you your biological age based on epigenetic clocks. Companies like True Diagnostic, Elysium Health, and others are in this market. These tests can be useful, but you need to understand their limitations. First, they are expensive, often costing hundreds of dollars. Second, accuracy can vary between different tests and methodologies. Third, and most importantly, knowing your epigenetic age is only useful if you plan to do something with that information. If you discover that you are aging faster than you should, and this motivates you to make lifestyle changes, great. But if it's just going to make you anxious without action, maybe it's not worth it. And here is an important truth. You probably already know whether you are aging well or not. You feel the quality of your sleep, your energy throughout the day, how easily you recover from exercise, your mental clarity, your overall health. These are subjective but powerful markers of biological age. If you feel great, your epigenetic age is probably good. If you feel constantly tired, foggy, and older than your years, your epigenetic clock is probably ticking fast. The beauty of understanding epigenetic clocks is not necessarily testing it yourself, although that can be interesting. The beauty is understanding that aging is not a fixed destiny. You have more control over how you age than you probably thought. Every choice you make, every meal, every workout, every night's sleep, every moment of managed or unmanaged stress, all of it is literally reprogramming your DNA at the epigenetic level. You are writing your own aging story every day. So let's talk specifically about what you can do starting today to slow down your epigenetic clock. First, exercise. And it's not just quantity, it's also type. Both aerobic exercise and strength training are important. Aerobic improves mitochondrial function and reduces inflammation. Strength preserves muscle mass and bone density that naturally decline with age. Try at least 150 minutes of moderate activity per week, plus some resistance training 2 to 3 times per week. If you're not doing anything right now, start small. Even 10 minutes a day makes a difference. Second, food. Focuses on real food, not ultra-processed food products. Colorful vegetables, fruits, quality proteins, healthy fats from fish, nuts, olive oil, avocado. Limit added sugar drastically. Sugar not only makes you fat, it accelerates aging through a process called glycation, where sugar molecules bind to proteins and damage them. Consider occasional intermittent fasting. There is evidence that this can benefit epigenetic health, but it's not for everyone, especially if you have medical conditions, so talk to a healthcare professional first. Third, sleep. Don't negotiate this. 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. Maintains consistent hours. Dark, cool, silent room. Limit screens before bed. During sleep, your body performs critical cellular maintenance, including epigenetic regulation. Cut sleep, and you are sabotaging your own repair processes. Fourth, stress. Learn to manage. Meditation, deep breathing, yoga, time in nature, hobbies you love, meaningful social connections. Chronic stress constantly releases cortisol, which causes epigenetic havoc. You can't eliminate all stress from life, but you can change how you respond to it. And this change in response is reflected in beneficial epigenetic changes. Fifth, it avoids obvious toxins. Don't smoke. Limit alcohol. Reduce exposure to air pollution when possible. Use less toxic cleaning and personal hygiene products. These environmental toxins can cause harmful epigenetic changes. Sixth, maintain purpose and social engagement. Studies show that people with a strong sense of purpose and rich social connections age more slowly biologically. Social isolation and lack of purpose accelerate epigenetic aging. Maintain friendships, contribute to the community, continue learning new things. Keep your mind engaged. Now I want to ask you something directly. If you could take a simple test and find out your true biological age, would you do it? And if you discovered that you were aging faster than you should, what would you change first in your life? Go down in the comments and tell me. I read all the comments and love seeing different perspectives. This is an important conversation, and I want to hear your thoughts. What worries you most about aging? What gives you the most hope? Comment below. Returning to our topic, there is a fascinating aspect of epigenetic clocks that we need to discuss. It's a matter of different tissues aging at different rates. You don't age evenly. Some parts of your body may be aging faster than others. Your brain may be biologically 5 years younger than your chronological age, while your liver is 5 years older, or vice versa. This explains why some people maintain perfect mental clarity until very old age, but have heart problems, or why someone can have a strong, healthy body but develop dementia. Different organs accumulate epigenetic damage at different rates based on genetics, specific environmental exposures, and the particular metabolic stress that organ faces. Your liver that processes all the toxins you consume can age faster if you drink alcohol regularly. Your lungs age faster if you smoke or live in an area with severe air pollution. This tissue-specific variation has important implications. It means that personalized interventions may be necessary. You may need targeted strategies to protect specific organs based on your particular aging profile. In the future, we may have therapies that can target epigenetic reprogramming to specific tissues that are aging disproportionately quickly. In fact, If you are really fascinated by this type of cutting-edge scientific content explained in a clear and applicable way, consider becoming a member of the channel or making a contribution through Valo de May. Any amount, literally any amount you can donate, helps a lot. Producing quality content like this requires a huge amount of research time, studying complex scientific papers, finding ways to explain difficult concepts in an accessible way. When you support the channel, you are making more videos like this possible. You are investing in quality science education that can genuinely improve people's lives. So if you can, consider supporting. It means a lot and encourages us to continue bringing this type of content. Moving on, let's talk about an absolutely exciting area of research. Scientists are discovering that certain natural compounds can positively influence DNA methylation. One of the most studied is resveratrol, found in grapes and red wine. Resveratrol activates enzymes called sirtuins that are involved in regulating longevity and metabolic health. Animal studies have shown that resveratrol can extend lifespan and improve health. In humans, the results are more mixed, but there is evidence of metabolic benefits. Another fascinating compound is NMN, nicotinamide mononucleotide, a precursor of NAD+, a crucial molecule for energy metabolism and DNA repair. NAD+ levels decline with age, and supplementing with NMN can restore them. Animal studies show impressive benefits, and preliminary human studies are promising. Curcumin from turmeric, sulforaphane from broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables, EGCG from green tea. All of these compounds show the ability to modulate epigenetics in potentially beneficial ways. But here's the important thing. Supplements are not a magic bullet. They can help, they can be part of a comprehensive strategy, but they do not replace fundamentals. You can't eat junk food, not sleep, not exercise, live stressed, and expect that resveratrol pill will save you. Fundamentals always come first. And honestly, if you get the fundamentals right, exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress, you're probably going to get 90% of the benefit possible. Supplements are just the last 10%. There's also a whole emerging area called senolysis, which is about eliminating senescent cells. Senescent cells are cells that have stopped dividing but have not died. They just sit there, secreting inflammatory molecules that harm neighboring cells and tissues. These zombie cells accumulate with age and contribute significantly to aging and age-related diseases. Senolytic drugs that can selectively kill these cells are being developed and tested. Animal studies show spectacular results: extension of healthy lifespan, reversal of several characteristics of aging. Some natural compounds also have senolytic properties. Quercetin, a flavonoid found in many vegetables and fruits, combined with dasatinib, a cancer drug, has shown senolytic effects in humans. Fisetin, found in strawberries, also shows promise. This is an explosive area of research right now, and in the coming years, we will see much more development. What does this all mean? It means we are on the threshold of being able to not only slow down aging, but potentially reverse it. I'm not talking about immortality. I'm not talking about living forever. I'm talking about extending the period of healthy life, compressing the period of illness and frailty at the end of life. Imagine living until 90 or 100 years old, but maintaining vitality, mental clarity, independence until almost the end. Fewer years in nursing homes, fewer decades of gradual decline, more years of quality. This is called the health span versus lifespan extension. Lifespan is how long you live in total. Health span is how long you live healthy. The goal is not necessarily to add more years at the end of life where you are sick and dependent. The goal is to add healthy years, extend youth and vitality, make 80 feel like 60 feels today. And here's what's really exciting. This is not a distant fantasy. This science is happening now. There are companies being founded, massive investment flowing into longevity research, clinical trials underway, testing interventions in humans. In the next 10 to 20 years, we will see anti-aging therapies hitting the market. Some are already available in preliminary forms. Much more is coming. But here's the crucial part you need to understand. You don't have to wait for futuristic therapies. You can start optimizing your epigenetic aging today with tools we already have. The lifestyle choices I mentioned are not small, marginal tweaks. They are powerful interventions that can genuinely add years to healthy life. And the time to start is not tomorrow, not on Monday, not when you reach some arbitrary milestone, and now. Every day you wait is another day of unnecessary epigenetic aging. But the good news is that it's never too late to start making a difference. Studies show that even people who start healthy lifestyle changes at an older age still see significant benefits. Your body has an incredible ability to heal and repair when you give it the right conditions. So here is my challenge to you. Pick one thing, just one thing from this list of lifestyle interventions, and start today. Maybe it's committing to 30 minutes of walking every day. Maybe it's eliminating sodas and sugary juices from your diet. Maybe it's setting a consistent bedtime and prioritizing 8 hours of sleep. Maybe it's starting a daily 10-minute meditation practice. Just one thing, but do it consistently. And then, after that change becomes a habit, add another one, and another. Builds momentum. Because here is the truth that the science of epigenetic clocks teaches us. Small actions compounded over time create huge results. You are literally reprogramming your DNA every day. The question is, are you programming accelerated aging or decelerated aging? Deterioration or resilience? Illness or vitality? We have reached the end of this fascinating journey through the world of epigenetic clocks and DNA aging. We've covered a lot of complex science, but I hope the core message is crystal clear. Aging is not a fixed and immutable process. It is malleable, influenceable, largely under your control. You are not a passive victim of time. You are an active participant in how your body ages. Inside each of your cells, there is a molecular clock ticking, recording not just the passage of time, but the quality of that time. And this watch responds to what you do, how you live, choices you make. It reads your life and adjusts your aging accordingly. Live well and the clock slows down. He lives poorly and he accelerates. It's that simple, but also deeply empowering. So if you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, because we're going to continue exploring these fascinating frontiers of longevity science and optimized health. There's so much more to cover, from fasting and autophagy to emerging therapies, from hormone optimization to mitochondrial health. All this knowledge is there, waiting to be explored and applied. The science of aging is advancing faster than ever. We are living in a golden age of longevity research. And the more we understand about the molecular mechanisms of aging, the more tools we have to intervene. Your DNA clock may be ticking right now, but you have the power to influence its rhythm. Use this power wisely. Your future self will thank you.